Welcome back to the 64th episode of the BatChums podcast. I'm Drew Leiter, and joining me tonight is my co-host, the man, the myth, the new legend, Mike Gordon.
Howdy. Wah, wah. Sorry, I always gotta throw in the whys. And there's a lot of whys in this episode. Penguin is is wawing all over the place. Wah wah wah.
So, the Batman Season 2, Episode 28, The Bird's Last Jest. Episode aired Thursday, December 8th, 1966, directed by Murray Golden and written by Lorenzo Semple Jr.
Yes, and although as I pointed out last episode, this is based on a actual comic story that was the cover dated August 1946. So it's 20 years old at this point, Drew. And so Lorenzo Semple Jr. pulled from a story called The Penguin's Nest. And In this story, the Penguin starts his own business, a restaurant called just simply The Nest. And it's a very popular cafe. Bruce Wayne and Commissioner Gordon go to check it out because they're suspicious. The Commissioner Gordon sees the Penguin try to lift some woman's purse, not Aunt Harriet, although the woman is not named, so we don't know. But at this point, Aunt Harriet is not in the comics. So he tries to get arrested. Batman and Robin are suspicious, so they stop him from arresting him. And the Gordon ends up with pie in his face. The Penguin smashes an apple pie or a cherry pie. It looks like a cherry pie because there's red all over the place. It looks pretty brutal actually in the artwork. The comic is written by Alvin Schwartz, penciler Paul Cooper, inker is Ray Burnley, and basically the first part of this comic is very much like the first part of the episode that we just reviewed last week, up until the pie in the face for Gordon. At which time, Robin and Batman take it upon themselves to spring uh, the Penguin out from the police so that so he doesn't go to jail because they know that he's got something planned up. And it pretty much plays out where the Penguin wants to be locked up because of this forging scheme, and Batman and Robin do eventually give chase to him and find out what's going on. So it's a fun story, but I was really struck by how similar it is. So Lorenzo Semple Jr. once again pulling from a story straight from the comics, which I always appreciate. So if it's worth checking out, it's available digitally if you have the Infinity app, or if it's in a bunch of collections as well. So I would check it out if you get a chance, if you are a fan. Because this will probably be the last one for a little while, Drew. And remember, as we pointed out last week too, this episode was filmed, it was the first one produced for the season. So that's why Lorenzo Semple Jr.'s name is on it. And that's why I think it's pulling directly from the comics. And that's why I think we see actually some footage from the movie in this episode as well, or at least stuff that was shot for the movie. And yeah, it's definitely got a different feel for it, but it's not so out of left field that it doesn't feel out of place where it is because there's some similarities to the Shame story that we just saw. I think it's really interesting that in both back-to-back episodes, the villains can hear the Batmobile coming, and they know it's the Batmobile because the Bat theme is playing.
The other thing I noticed about the beginning of this episode was we had the William Dozer. Um,
Yeah, it's a full recap.
Recap. Thank you. That's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. That's what we do, Drew, is recap. We recap and review. Yeah, you're right. This is uh the narrator does a full recap of last week's episode, which is something we haven't gotten for a little while. And I think it's just because this was one of the first ones produced. I don't think we're going to see that again.
so. Last episode, Penguin breaks out of the Gotham City jail, taking Chief O'Hara hostage. Penguin challenged Batman to a duel at the old abandoned Navy Recreation Center, the swimming pool. At the pool, Penguin has Chief O'Hara locked in a middle box at the top of a pool slide, with the pool electrified and a gun ready to fire. Penguin and his crew wait for Batman and Robin to arrive.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff
Great!
going on here.
Yes, there was. Great Scott! It's time to bring in the BatChums' most valuable consultant, Magic Batman.
Da, da, da.
Magic Batman. Will Batman and Robin survive the trap Penguin has set for them? See what he said.
Okay.
No data in the Bat computer.
Well, as I pointed out, I think we both pointed out this season, this show is relying a lot on the Bat computer. So even Magic Batman is relying on the Bat computer. So that is a shame.
Batman and Robin arrive at the swimming pool at the old abandoned Navy Recreation Center. Robin notices the trunk on the slide right away. Holy Davy Jones! Chicken pushes the trunk containing Chief O'Hara into the pool. Robin begins to rush toward the pool, but Batman stops him, suspecting a death trap.
Mm-mm-mm.
Penguin Penguin orders his men to fire. Batman tells Robin to drop while pulling out the bat shield.
Bat Shield.
Bullets. Yes, I was very excited to see the bat shield, unlike the Shame episode.
Yes. Yeah.
Bullets blast at the Cape Crusaders. Batman assesses the situations. Dollars to donuts, Chief O'Hara's in that trunk that just dropped into the pool. Penguin is at the Penguin is
Donuts.
at
Donuts referring to a police chief. Come on, Drew. You're beyond that, right? Like, come on, man.
Hey, I didn't come up with that. They said it in the episode.
Well, as we've seen in this series, they're not above anything. So they'll take any joke.
Penguin is at an electrical switch. Batman decides to drive the bird away with a bat pellet. Penguin is knocked over when the bat pellet explodes. Using the bat shield, Batman and Robin advance their way through the gunfire, making their way toward the big electric cables. Using his bat inverser, Batman reverses the polarity of the cables.
Yeah, the
Ping-
reverse the polarity is something I think we've heard on this show, but I associate it with Doctor Who. One of the third Doctor's favorite like phrases that he's used all the time was reverse the polarity of the neutron flow. Now, I'm not sure where reverse of the polarity comes from it's originally, but it is a typical reference to either Doctor Who or some sort of science fiction nonsense, technobabble, if you will, which I think is a term that Star Trek created. But yeah, we have heard it used. I believe we've heard it used on Batman before. But yeah, I can't help but think of Doctor Who when someone says reverse the polarity.
Penguin gets up and throws the electrical switch. Holy levitation! Instead of the electrocute instead of electrocuting Chief O'Hara, the box is thrown from the pool. Batman explains that by reversing the polarity of the cables, the pool transformed into a organic anti-magnet, thus repelling the metal of the trunk.
Yeah, kids, don't try this at home because I think this is pretty much just nonsense.
Curses! Penguin's henchmen are out of ammunition. Robin asks Batman how he can be sure. Batman states he has been counting the bullets.
Again, this is another reference to like that's very similar to what we saw in last week's episode with Shame, or 2 weeks ago with Shame. The Batman is really good at counting bullets, even from a machine gun. Because because in Shame it was like multiple guns, but here it is just a machine gun, and yet Batman is still able to keep track of all the bullets.
Pulling out his batarang, Batman demands that criminals surrender. Penguin, Chickadee, and the henchmen come out with their hands up while Robin frees Chief O'Hara from the trunk.
I could not believe he was actually in there. It looked way too small for him.
Penguin states it was a perfect plot gone awry. Batman states that it will happen to the criminal every time. Get set for a short flight. Next for Penguin is the Bar of Justice.
Bar of Justice.
Later in the courtroom, Penguin, Chickadee, and his henchmen are charged with kidnapping police chief, illegal electrification of a swimming pool, littering public property with machine gun cartridges without a proper license, attempted murder, mayhem, battery, and compound assault.
A lot of
The
charges.
judge, yes, a lot of charges. The judge wonders where the district attorney is. Batman states he was asked to represent the people by the district attorney. Judge Mute allows it.
Yeah, we've got a couple things going on here. First of all, Judge Moot is played by Walter Perkins, who some people might recognize from such B movies as Blood of Dracula, 1957, Frankenstein's Daughter, 1958. But most people at this time period know him and can recognize him pretty easily because he's at this time in the 60s, in the mid 60s, he's playing a judge on Divorce Court, which is a very popular TV series. It's like one of the first, I think, reality, quote unquote, reality shows back then. Yeah, he plays a judge on that. So a lot of people would recognize him. And he mentions that DA Jefferson Hamfurter is absent, and he wonders where he is. Now, Jefferson Hamfurter is a play on the District Attorney Hamilton Berger from the Perry Mason TV series. So there's a Lorenzo Semple Jr. is playing with some TV courtroom dramas here, both Perry Mason and Divorce Court. Now, also Batman representing the people. You might wonder what are his qualifications. Well, we don't know if Bruce Wayne went to law school, but it has been established already on this series that Bruce Wayne's father was a lawyer. That's not the case in the comics, but on this TV series, it's been established that his father was a lawyer. And Batman's got some bat books. He's got books with the bat symbol on them. I don't
I
know.
noticed that.
Yeah, they're kind of hard to miss. I don't know I don't know if those are just book sleeves to protect them or if they've got some sort of bat criminology legalese in them or something. But yeah, I did think that was pretty interesting. But this whole courtroom scene is fun. I think it's one of the funnest parts of this whole episode because you could tell that it's so ridiculous that Lorenzo Semple Jr. is just satiring not only TV court dramas, but also real life court dramas as well. So there's a lot of like just craziness that happens here.
Judge Moot asks Penguin to rise and state his plea. Penguin accuses Batman and the Gotham City Police Department with conspiracy to deprive him of his lawful rights. After Penguin pleads his case, the judge agrees. I have to say, Penguin did a pretty good job of stating his case. I was
Absolutely.
I was impressed.
Yeah. Well, it's Burgess Meredith having so much fun. Talking about, that's what I'm saying. Like this whole thing is just a courtroom drama that's gone into the ridiculous satirical realm, where, a criminal who, Penguin describes himself as not a law abiding person, but a law-breaking citizen. And his whole argument that this was just a normal response to someone who should have been arrested that wasn't. And if Batman and hadn't stopped the police from arresting him in the first place, none of this would have happened, which is kind of true.
Holy flip flop! Batman is forced to drop the charges against the Penguin. The judge dismisses the case. The Penguin and his gang are allowed to go free, which we saw Penguin was very disappointed in.
Yeah, I think he pleaded his case too well because if he wanted to go to state pen, he should have just shut up. Instead, he pleads this great defense and gets off and doesn't end up. So Batman wins anyway. Even though it looks like Batman and Robin lose the court case, they win the day because the Penguin doesn't get what he wants, which is to go to the state pen.
Back at the Batcave, Batman paints false fingerprints on Alfred. Alfred is going undercover at the Penguin's restaurant, The Nest. At the Penguin's restaurant, Chief O'Hara is harassing one of Penguin's patrons, a forger named Quill Pen Quirch. Chief O'Hara gives him 3 hours to get out of town. Suspicious of a trap, Penguin obtains Quill Pen's fingerprints from a glass, comparing them to a file he has in a secret refrigerator. Yeah, wait a minute. Comparing them to a file he has in a secret refrigerator. The Penguin concludes he is the real deal. So who knew the Penguin was an expert at
Well,
fingerprints? and having a library of fingerprints in a secret refrigerator.
I mean, he's prepared. He's prepared.
Penguin has a meeting with Quill Pen. When Alfred puts on his glasses, Penguin realizes he has seen him somewhere before. Penguin gasses him with his umbrella.
Yeah.
Poor Alfred.
Okay. So, all right. So, if this sounds like, yeah, Penguin should recognize Alfred, that's because he has met him not once, not twice, but 3 times before. So in the first season, Penguin's first appearance, Fine Feathered Finks and the Penguin's a Jinx. Penguin breaks into Wayne Manor. Remember, Bruce and Dick are in the suits of armor, and
Yep.
gasses Alfred. So their first meeting, Alfred is gassed. In the Penguin Goes Straight, Not Yet He Ain't, Alfred goes undercover as an insurance investigator, and the Penguin sniffs him out, and Alfred literally pulls the rug out from under Penguin and escapes. I think in that one, the Penguin knows or suspects that he's working with Batman, but I don't think he follows up on it. But I think he's thinking that Alfred is working with Batman on that one. And then finally, in Fine Finny Friends, or sorry, Fine Finny Fiends, and Batman Makes the Scenes, Penguin actually kidnaps and brainwashes Alfred to do his bidding through the whole episode and through the whole storyline. And Alfred basically has to come out of it, snap out of it, in order before he betrays Bruce and Dick. So Penguin is very familiar with Alfred. Now, we've seen, especially with DC Comics properties, glasses can make a big difference, right? Like if you wear your glasses, you're a completely different looking person than if if you're not wearing glasses. So, that makes sense, but I did sort of like it that there was some continuity here where once he puts on the glasses, Penguin's like, I know you. Now, he should have recognized him right away because he's encountered him a lot, but Penguin's got a lot going on. So, and the last thing he expects is to see Alfred here. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but I was glad to see that he recognized him. I thought that was a pretty nice use of continuity because if he hadn't, I would have been like, dude, you have seen this guy a billion times. So I thought that was pretty fun.
Penguin clears out the restaurant, claiming there is a sudden epidemic of Moldavian food poison. I gotta tell you, when Alfred is in there with Chief O'Hara harassing him, that restaurant was empty. He was like the only one in there. And then Penguin decides to get the fingerprints. And then when Penguin goes out there, that restaurant is full. I was like, man, a lot of people came in all at once.
Well, once the cop leaves, everybody feels a little bit more comfortable to come in. When the cop's harassing people, you kind of back off and give them some space.
After the restaurant is cleared, Penguin tells his crew that Quill Penn is Alfred, the faithful butler of millionaire Bruce Wayne. Back at the Batcave, Batman is worried that Alfred didn't check in 5 minutes ago. He's
Shame
worried that he
on
made a
you,
mistake.
Batman. Shame on you. Look, if we all knew that Penguin could recognize Alfred, then how dare you put Alfred in harm's way like that?
That was not very smart on
And
Batman's
then
part. He should have known.
And then he calls up the police tip line to give them well, it's kind of a real tip, but it's a fake tip. He uses the tip line for his own ends, just like he uses the press. Batman does some sketchy things here, and he almost pays for it with Alfred's life. Alfred should have said,
Back at the
won't
red.
he recognize me? Like, look, if you're spending this much time masking my fingertips, maybe you might want to like do something with my face so he doesn't recognize me. But no, nah. So yeah, I give Batman's usually a pretty sharp cookie, but here he really drops the ball. And like I said, Alfred almost gets taken out because of it.
Back at the kitchen of Penguin's restaurant, Penguin has concluded that Bruce Wayne, a very prominent bank director, has caught wind of a scheme to commit forgery with checks. Penguin decides to make a gigantic butler pie.
Which is
Batman and
creepy.
yeah, Batman and Robin arrive at Penguin's restaurant to find a sign that states the restaurant is closed due to Moldovan food poisoning. Both the dining room and the kitchen are empty. They do find Alfred's bowler heavily dusted with pastry flour.
Which in itself
Holy
looks pretty
chocolatey
creepy.
Claire.
That looks pretty creepy.
Yeah, it
Like
does.
I'm like and they're like, they're thinking the worst, and they should. And Batman should feel pretty bad.
Holy chocolatey Claire. Robin wonders what that means. Batman is scared to think. It is too grim. Back at Wayne Manor, Mrs. Cooper screams as Penguin and his gang arrive with a giant pie in tow. Penguin states that this is a catered affair in the honor of Bruce Wayne, but discovers he is not home. Not a problem. The Penguin will wait.
I love uh I love Aunt Harriet's reaction here. Shoo, shoo, shoo.
I know that was pretty funny.
like uh, like the penguin is some pigeon that she can just shoo away. But yeah, they're lucky she wasn't like packing heat.
We have seen her do that in the
We
past.
have, man. We have. She was ready to like plug Liberace earlier this season. So Penguin should feel like he's pretty lucky he didn't get plugged himself.
The phone rings and Penguin orders Mrs. Cooper to answer it. It is Dick Grayson. Penguin takes the phone and tells Dick to tell his guardian if they want to see Alfred alive, they better come home fast.
Yeah, Penguin identifies himself as PN Gwyn, and that's the same name he uses in the movie,
Mm-hmm.
Batman the movie, to purchase surplus the submarine, which I thought Lorenzo Semple Jr. Making these continuity connections, which I think is pretty cool. So
I can't remember. Did he write the movie?
he did. Yes, he did.
Well, that's why he remembers that name. Batman and Robin race back to the Batcave. Using the bat poles, they transform back into Bruce and Dick.
Man, they go up and down those poles.
Yes, they do.
It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. They go up the poles and then they come, yeah, they go down the poles and they go back up. Like it's just they have a lot of fun using the bat poles, which again, this is footage I think from the movie because we had not seen the poles being used that way until the movie, right? So when the movie had featured, especially with them going up the poles, we hadn't seen that before, and the fact that they could, control whether or not they get costumed or decostumed or whatever. We hadn't seen that play out until the movie. So there's also some footage earlier on of the Batmobile racing to the pool to meet up with the Penguin. That was aerial footage that I don't think we'd seen in a while, and I think that's from the movie as well. Those were some really nice shots of the Batmobile driving around. So we do see, this was produced right after the movie. So I think that's why you see a lot of these elements in here.
Oh, that makes sense. Penguin greets Bruce and Dick, telling Bruce it is about to he is about to eat some humble pie.
Mm.
Penguin states he has quill pen quirch in the pie and will cook him before their very eyes unless Bruce gives him $1 million cash now.
It's a lot of
Bruce
money.
states, yeah, Bruce states that he has that amount in a small safe. No, Bruce states he has that amount in the small wall safe in his study. In Bruce's study, Bruce and Dick go back down the bat poles. They turn off the automatic costume changing device and go back up the bat poles as Batman and Robin. Batman, using a tricky charade to preserve their secret identities.
Drew, it's not that
Oh, wait a
tricky.
minute. No, it's not. And I read that sentence with a comma, like I had more to it. No, I didn't. Good gravy, Dick. Coming through the window is Batman and Robin. Dick states they hide and stay out of Batman and Robin's way. Batman and Robin appear. Robin tells Penguin they planted a tracking device in his hat, and a fight ensues.
So
Now,
is that the first time we've had a fight in Wayne Manor?
no, I'm not.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it seemed like maybe we had before, but I wasn't sure. So, but it's pretty cool. I like the fact that, they don't need to go out of their way to do that. So, you use the sets on hand, but that's a fun fight.
And the thing with this fight is, I'm not sure why Penguin chose to fight Batman and Robin because he didn't have to. Because Chickadee was already holding a gun on Miss
Oh, right.
Cooper,
Yeah, he
so they
could have
already
said
had
just
a hostage. They could have just they could have just escaped right there. I'm like, Penguin,
true.
what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah, Chickadee once again grabs a hostage, which she did in the first part of this. But yeah, you're right. They could have just used her like they did O'Hara in the first part, but you're right, they didn't.
Chickadee orders Batman to stop, or she'll blow Mrs. Cooper's brains out. It's just for this show, I was like, whoa.
Well, I guess to
Alfred
our
pop.
credit, she does try to do that, right? She says she tries to stop the fight and be like, "Hey, stop this, or I will plug her," right? And yeah, so I guess she just hadn't got around to it, and I guess the guys just jumped the gun because they wanted to fight.
Alfred pops out of the pie and taps Chickadee on the shoulder. Chickadee turns and Alfred grabs the umbrella. Mrs. Cooper grabs a vase off the fireplace mantle and breaks it over Chickadee's head, knocking her
Um,
out.
I think that is a spittoon. I don't think that's a vase. I think it's a spittoon because it like goes bong, right? It's like it looks like it's
Doesn't
metal.
it sounded like they made a sound effect like it broke. That's why I called it a vase.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'll have to
The
look at it
sound
again
effect,
because
if it's a
I was wondering why
if
is
it's a spittoon, if
why
it's a
is it in Wayne
spittoon, the
Manor?
sound effect didn't sound like it.
I'm like, why is there a spittoon in Wayne Manor? Like, who's chewing and spitting? Is that Aunt Harriet? Is she got a problem with chew? Like, is she like? I thought she grabbed it from the ground.
I'm pretty sure it was on the mantle.
Gotcha. I mean, at first I thought it was an urn, and I was like, whose ashes are in that?
If they would have ashes in there, it'd probably be Bruce's parents.
Yeah, well, that would be weird.
Yeah, it
If
would.
Aunt Harriet clobbered Chickadee with Bruce's parents, that would be strange.
And you got to say, Mrs. Cooper's a tough old bird,
She
but
is.
she faints. And I think that's more convenient for her not to learn Batman and Robin's secret identity than it is because she was scared of what was going on.
Yeah, that's true. But she had been held at gunpoint for like who knows how long, like 45 minutes or whatever. So that's a lot of stress. So
Yeah.
she deserves a good lay down.
Batman and Robin defeat Penguin and his henchmen, knocking them unconscious. Batman and Robin go down and back up the bat poles before Penguin awakes. When Bruce and Dick appear, Alfred informs them that Batman and Robin have already left through the window. Alfred gives Bruce a message from Batman. Don't try and capture a villain like Penguin again himself. Call the police. The job of crime fighting is theirs.
Yeah, they're so
At,
good at it.
at police headquarters, Penguin tells his gang he still has the writing samples in the handle of his umbrella. Bruce and Dick arrive just in time to announce they have just secured the parole of Ballpoint Baxter. He's going to teach penmanship in one of the Wayne Foundation camps for underprivileged children.
Ballpoint Baxter is played by Stanley Ralph Ross, who's the writer on the show, which is why he doesn't have any lines because he's not really a great actor. But he does do a nice little trip, like a trip, as they leave, which is kind of fun because in the first part of this two-parter, it's O'Hara that does kind of a pratfall trip, but because Chickadee trips him in the jail. So I thought that was kind of a interesting. I don't. It's not a direct callback, but it's kind of an interesting thing that the physical trip thing that happens here in both episodes. So if you ever wanted to know what Stanley Ralph Ross looks like, he looks like Ballpoint Baxter. And apparently Stanley Ralph Ross is because he doesn't have enough names. Apparently his nickname, a lot of people called him Ballpoint.
Huh.
So it's a direct reference to him.
Yeah, I think it's funny that Lorenzo Semple Jr. wanted to have him in his episode,
Yeah,
and that
I don't know if
Stanley Ralph Frost didn't put himself in one of his own scripts.
that Yeah, I don't I do think that well, yeah, I don't know how that works. I don't know why that is, but remember this is very early on. So maybe this is some sort of passing of the torch. I don't know. But in any case, it's fun. You don't see too many writers on the show
I
making cameos.
No, you don't. And I got to tell you, this was a fun episode. So I had fun watching.
Yeah, a lot going on. A lot of it's bonkers, doesn't make much sense. Logic, it uses bat logic, or penguin logic, or bird logic. But there's a lot of like really fun moments in this two-parter. And so it may not come all together in a great way because I don't think it's one of the best Penguin episodes, but Burgess Meredith is awesome whenever he's on screen, especially in the courtroom stuff. He's just great. He's perfectly selling us as the Penguin. As he's the reason that the Penguin is one of my favorite villains because he establishes it here. And like I said, in the first part, there were great scenes as well. The phone booth scene, the fact that Gordon and O'Hara get pies to the face. It is kind of cool to see the Bat Shield really being used against a machine gun at the beginning of this one. I thought that was, I mean, it's not just bang, bang, bang. I mean, they're getting pelted with bullets, um, almost too many to count for a normal person. But Batman's not a normal person, as we know. And the fact that, it's written with some continuity in mind, that the Penguin knows who Alfred is. He uses the same pseudonym as he's used in the past. There's a lot of connections here, a lot of good stuff, and the fact that it's based in the comic off a comic story. I think all of that is really notable about this two-parter.
And this just goes to prove that we were wrong at the beginning back last season when we thought there wasn't a lot of continuity between episodes
Yeah,
in the show. And this proves it once again. So
yeah. I mean, it's subtle, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's not like one actually
it's
falls.
not slappy in your face kind of
Right, right.
thing, but
But there are
yeah.
things that are recurring, and there are things where that follow up upon other things. So you're right. It's a lot more than I expected to see, and I'm always pleased when I see that stuff.
All right. Well, that wraps up another episode. Do you have a shout out, Mike?
A shout out, but also it's more of a tribute. This past week we lost a comic legend, a comic icon. Jim Shooter, who is probably best remembered as being editor-in-chief for Marvel Comics for, goodness, a decade in the 80s, I think. But he also was a writer, creator. He was an artist too. He did some artwork, but he is mostly known for his Marvel work. He wrote Marvel Secret Wars, which I think is one of my favorite stories, crossover stories. He wrote issues of the Avengers, but as far as his DC work, he wrote Legion of Superheroes in Adventure Comics. He wrote that, there's a famous Superman issue with Superman and Flash on the cover of a race between Superman and Flash, where who is the fastest man alive? Well, that story was written by Jim Shooter. He didn't write a lot of Batman in particular, but he did write a few issues of World's Finest, which featured Superman and Batman. So he has written Batman before, so there is a Batman connection there. He did a company crossover, Superman and Spider-Man, the second time that they met with Doctor that featured Doctor Doom, and I believe Parasite is the DC bad guy in that one. He went over to created his own companies, Valiant, Defiant, and worked with such properties as Magnus Robot Fighter and Turok, Son of Stone, Archer and Armstrong, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I could spend another hour listing his accolades, and unfortunately, I never got a chance to meet him and thank him for all of the work that he has done that I appreciate. I've seen him at a couple of shows, but I never took the opportunity to go actually meet him, which I now regret. He was supposed to be at this year's Dragon Con. He was scheduled to be at Dragon Con this year, and I was going to correct that and meet him, but unfortunately, cancer took its toll on him a little bit prematurely. So he's been sick for a while with cancer, and it is an unfortunate thing. But he did live a pretty full life, and he was a controversial figure. Some of the decisions that he made and some of the interactions that he had with creators and fans were not the best, but I think, all told, I think a lot of his work was for the betterment of comics. And love him or hate him, you couldn't ignore him because he was a big impact on a big part of that, like I said, that 80s era of comics. Are you familiar with Jim's work?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's hard not to be, right?
Yeah. It's hard not to be. So,
And I do believe that Secret Wars will be coming to the big screen in some form. Whether or not it looks anything like his original comic series, I don't know. But I guess we'll wait and see. But yeah, big loss to the comic industry and storytelling in general. So
now Secret Wars, I remember Secret Wars coming out and I wasn't even collecting comics at the time. I somebody I knew had some comics and they had Secret Wars and it kind of piqued my interest.
It was a big deal. I was
So,
collecting, I was reading
yeah.
them, and I have all my original issues. As a matter of fact, that's what I was going to have him sign. I do have a copy of the Secret Wars issue that introduces the black costume Spider-Man. And I've already had a couple creators who worked on that book sign it. So the artist signed that as well. So I was going to have Jim sign that as well. I've got a couple of other books that he has worked on as well. So yeah, I just wish I'd had the opportunity to thank him in person, but it's unfortunate. And again, Drew, we've said this before, but if someone has influenced your life in a positive way, whether it's creative, especially in a creative way, and they're at a convention or an event, um, take some time to thank them because uh, that just goes a long way. Because a lot of the time they don't get thanks for what they do, and it doesn't. I think Jim, did okay, but I mean, like, there's not a ton of money in comics, so it's not like they're living in mansions and living high on the hog or anything like that. So uh, the creators that we grew up with in particular are not getting any, none of us are getting any younger. So if you can take the opportunity, or if you see an opportunity to meet these people and thank them, I definitely encourage people to do so.
All right. And for my shout out, I'm going to shout out about Lego Batman. I played this game before and I wanted to play it the other day. I, me personally, I don't have an Xbox, but my son has one. So
Gotcha.
I asked him to if he could be able to play this. He's like, Dad, my Xbox is just digital now. He went and pulled, he went and pulled out his, I think it was an Xbox One, and we tried to play it on there. It wouldn't work because this is for the 360. So I was disappointed.
So you have a game that you cannot play.
Yes. Well, we're cleaning up around here, and I came across this.
Oh,
I
I
don't
see.
know which of the boys this belonged to, but I was like, oh, Lego Batman, I want to play because I remember playing it when they first got it a little bit. Not a big gamer, but I do like playing video games once in a while. I saw it and I was like, this will be fun to play again.
Does that tie
But I was
into the
very
Lego Batman
disappointed.
movie?
I do not know.
Gotcha.
I honestly don't know.
I have seen the Lego Batman movie, which is fun. It's got a very 60s mentality to it, let's say, where it's a little tongue-in-cheek and campy. More than a little, I should say. Tongue-in-cheek and campy. So it's got some, I think, 60s references to it. I think it's something that we should definitely add to our potential list of things to do, review in the future, because that would be kind of fun. But
That
yeah,
would be fun. I've seen it before too, and I remember being a fun movie to watch. So it'd be fun for
absolutely.
us to go back and review it.
Yeah, fun movie to watch and probably a fun movie game to play. So I hope that works out that you can play it at some point.
I hope so too. All right. If you'd like to comment on anything we've talked about tonight, you can reach us at our feedback line, maybe 317 455 8411. You can text us, leave us a message, or you can email us at batchumspodcast@gmail.com. Sorry, my mind went blank on the phone number there. Right? Are you ready to get out of here, Bat Chum?
Bat chums are ready to move out.
Atomic batteries the power, turbines the speed. Thanks for joining us, and see you next week. Same cat time, same cat channel.
Don't worry. Da-da-dum. Here they come, walking down the street. Get the funniest looks from everyone they
Everyone we
meet.
meet.
Yes, we're talking about the monkeying around crew. Next time.